welcome back to Katrina's Creations Knitting Podcast. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. We had a lovely time with our family and visiting, and we got a special Christmas present. Our grandson, our newest grandson, was born last night, so he almost was a New Year's baby. He was born on the 30th, and everybody's doing well. Apparently, he put in his appearance a little faster than they anticipated. The midwife did not get there in time, and my son actually delivered the baby. So, but we have a healthy baby boy, and mom and baby and even our son are doing well. He said it was exciting but scary. Thankfully, this is their fourth, so they both had a little bit of practice with us. So that was our Christmas news. Christmas gift-wise, as far as yarny things, I got the Swift and the yarn winder that I had already ordered. I knew I was getting them, and if you remember, I wanted to get in and start winding them. I've already gotten started. I went into some of my projects that I'm working on. Yes, I already got into it. I'm still learning how, so I don't think it's wound quite as tight as it should be. So I'm still practicing, but my granddaughter and I fooled with it on Christmas Day, winding up yarn I was already working on. So we will get started. I'm going to first talk about a past project that I have, and that is the shawl that I am wearing. It is a triangular shawl. Let me get this close so you can see the colors. It's got sparkles in it. I don't know if they're going to show up. It has copper sparkling. It has one of my hairs in it as well. But anyway, it has copper sparkles in it. There, maybe you can see it on the edge here in the halo. You can see the sparkles. The yarn that I used for this is Fountain. Now you can really see the sparkles at times. It is Fountain Hill. It's a brushed mohair. It's 80% acrylic, 20% mohair. And I mixed it with a Queensland Uluru, I think I'm saying that right, yarn, and I'm not sure the colorway with that. I'm thinking it was either Shenandoah or Sandstorm. I'm not positive because it's been a couple of years since I made it. The pattern itself is called Malaise. It has a pretty lace edge to it. And it's done by Nora Goffin, and I'll put that up. You'll see it up here so you can see the name. And then I have it. I wear it sideways, and I wear it with a pin that just happens to match the colors. So it's kind of fall colors, but it's very soft and it's warm, and I like it. It's one of my favorites because I like copper and fall colors. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know that in my intro clip you usually see that I have a Facebook page, and I have a Pinterest page and a Ravelry page and an Etsy shop. But I thought I would talk about a couple of them really quick, especially the Pinterest page. If you want to take a look in there, it's under Katrina Knits, and you can look at all my boards. I have a whole bunch on my ideal house of what I would have in my perfect house, including a maid and a cook and, you know, all those things, because, like, who wants to do that? That way I could knit more. But anyway, I have a yacht parked in my backyard and an indoor pool. You know, it's a dream life, so why not? But anyway, on there as well, I have knitting projects that I'm interested in making. I have yarn that I'm interested in getting. And sorry, I had to edit out some coughing. As you can tell, I'm getting over something. I don't know. But anyway, on the Pinterest page, there is also just different crafting ideas. You can see my podcasts are loaded on there. There's just some other yarn things. There's yarn shops I've visited. It's not by any means all the yarn shops I've visited. It's just the ones that had connections that I could pin onto Pinterest. So those are on there. I have a Facebook page that at this point, it's also under Katrina Knits. At this point, it only has podcasts listed. I'm not sure what else I'm going to put on there, but at this point, it's just podcasts. And if you go into my Ravelry page, which is Katrina's Creations, all one word, just like my Etsy shop, you can see some of the past projects. I've put all of my past projects except for my Kool-Aid shawl. That's the only one that's not on there. So that you can look and see what I've made in the past. The other thing that's on the Pinterest page as well is a readings books list. I always give a reading recommendation at the end of the podcast, but if you really want to see all the things I read, that's where I keep track of what I've read, what I haven't read. It's on my reading page. So if you ever have other things that you want to check out and see what I'm into, check out my Pinterest page. So, works in progress. I'm still working on the same tube, although now I'm going to be making a baby Afghan. I'm not sure in what color yet. It won't be pink. I will be hitting the yarn shop this week and seeing what I can do. So, I'm still working on my Drachenfelts. You can see from the marker where I was last week here, and I've gotten up through the striped section. I'm ready to start into, I think it goes more into the browns at this point. So that's how far I got with that. And again, it doesn't look like much, but this is, I think, at its widest point at this point. I can't pull it all the way open, it's going to come right off the needles. But that is the Drachenfelts. And then I have the sweater that I'm working on. I have done a lot of knitting this week, but it just doesn't show much because, again, this is 407 stitches to go all the way around. I have completed the ribbing. This is a cardigan that you knit like a tube, and you have steek stitches. You have 5 on each side, and at the very end you seam it and you cut it up through the center. So right now I am still doing the tubular, and I just did my first row of the cables. It is a cable all the way around. I mean, you can see the first sets of the twisting right in here. But it is a cable stitch. It's cabled completely all the way around, almost, I don't know how many cables are on this. It's almost all cables, like every inch there's a cable all the way around. I'm still not crazy about this yarn. I like how it's knitting up, and it is feeling softer as I'm knitting it. I remember mentioning last week that it kind of felt and smelled a little burlappy. It still smells a little burlappy, but I'm hoping I can get that smell out when I give it a wash. And it is feeling softer as the more I'm working it. So hopefully it will work out, but I like the neutral color because it is kind of a tan, sandy color tan. So I think it will go with a lot of things. So, like I said, and this one, it's interesting because it's got a gusset. I've never run into a sweater that has a gusset up both sides. This one does, so when I was reading the pattern, at first I was a little confused. So I was almost hesitant to start the row, and finally I thought, I've got to just dive in and try it. And it wasn't that the pattern was written wrong, I just wasn't quite understanding what it wanted me to do until I actually started doing it. Once I got all the way through the first, you do the front, and then you do a gusset, and then you do the back, and you do a gusset, and then you do what would be the other side of the front, and then you come around to the middle again. So once I kind of started into it and got partway into it and started actually looking at how the pattern was working, then I understood where the gusset was going to fit into all this. And so it's really not that confusing. It's just you're moving through 4 different charts to go all the way around, because there's a chart for the left side, there's a chart for the right side, there's a chart for the gusset, there's a chart for the back. So yeah, it's a lot of page flipping. So I think I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'm not, like, right now I've got the book hanging open and I'm having to flip from one page to the next as I move my way around. It's definitely not something I could do in the car. It's not like my Drachenfelts that I don't really need to watch what I'm doing. This one I've got to be sitting down and really concentrating because of all the cables. And the cables go two different directions. There's a grouping of 2 cables, and then there's a lacy border, and then 2 cables and lacy border. And the cables run opposite directions. So, yeah, it's not one that I can do a whole lot else other than knit when I'm working on it. So I have gotten a couple rows in here. It just doesn't show because It takes so long to get around it. So the next thing I'm going to talk about has nothing to do with knitting. It has to do with Christmas, sort of. And it's a shout out to my brother. My brother has a part-time hobby that he does, a craft that he does, called Aldrich Custom Crafts. And he and his wife, he makes jewelry, his wife does crafts. And they go to craft sales and different craft shows around the Pennsylvania area. Well, my husband and I have been married to be 35 years in February. And the ring that I've worn for 35 years has taken a lot of wear and tear. And I was at work one day and happened to look down and realize one of the diamonds was just kind of dangling outside of the ring. And thankfully I found it. It didn't disconnect from the ring, but it was like hanging. Usually I keep my rings clean. This time I didn't, and it was only the goo in the ring that held it together. So thankfully I'd been doing something with like dough or something the day before, and it held the diamond from being lost. So I took and had some estimates done of how much work, and the more different jewelers looked at it, the more they realized how much work was going to have to be done, because apparently the under framework and everything of the ring was really shot. So I asked my brother, I said, would you be willing to reset my ring in a different setting? So, and he was willing to take on the project. So he made me a new ring. He took all of the diamonds out of my old one. And it was so funny. This is on Thanksgiving. I gave him my ring. I never thought I was so emotionally attached to the setting of the ring as I was, because I handed it to him and started crying. Because, like I said, I've worn this setting for 35 years. So it was really hard and emotional for me. But anyway, he reset the ring, and I wanted to go. It was in gold. He did it in silver for me. Not in white gold. I actually had it done in silver. And he added a stone on each side of my solitaire. So it now is a triple stone in the middle. And then I have 5 stones up top and 5 stones in the bottom. When we were married, the solitaire was the original, and then when we were married 5 years, my husband gave me a little ring with 5 diamonds in it. And then when we were married 10, he gave me another one with another 5. So I wanted to keep all of them together. So this is what the finished reset ring looks like. This is the only diamonds that are not original is this one and this one. Those are actually, I think he said they're white sapphires or white topaz. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the reset. And then, as a special, when he saw how emotional I was about the ring, he was careful in how he took the stones out of my old one. And as a Christmas present, he had to use smaller stones to put back into it, but he was able to salvage my original setting and just put it in with smaller stones. So that was my Christmas present. I was like, oh, I still got my old ring too. So this is what my old ring like. And again, these are white sapphires or white diamond, or white sapphires or white topaz. I'm not sure which. So he reset it so that I still have my setting. Because I was like, what am I going to do with the setting with no stones in it? You know, I just didn't know. It seemed kind of pointless to stick it in a drawer. So anyway, so now if I want to wear something gold, I can wear my old ring, or I can wear my new one if I'm wearing silver. So that was exciting to me. That was special for me for Christmas. So my brother does have a Facebook page called Aldrich. I'll put it down here. It's Aldrich Custom Crafts, and that's where he sells from. It's on the Facebook page, and he is now also creating his own jewelry. He's just started into the jewelry repair, but he makes his own jewelry, and he's starting to design his own jewelry. So yeah, check him out. He's got decent prices, and he does a lot of personalized stuff if you want it. He can kind of, you know, make whatever stone you want in there. So anyway, give him a check. So the next thing I'm going to do is my book review. And I said the other week that I had done the last of my yarn-related cozy mysteries. So this one is not yarn related, but if you like shows like Antique Roadshow or something like that, you will like this series. Here it is. This is the 11th in the series. The lady's name is Jane K. Clellan. I think I'm pronouncing it. It's Cleland or Clellan. And she writes, as you can see in the picture here, she has, let's see if I do it without the glare. She does her books based on antiques. And the story takes place in a fictional town called Rocky Point, New Hampshire, which, like I said, it's fictional, but it's in the storyline, it's just south of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, because Portsmouth figures in the stories a lot of the time. And the lady who actually wrote this series at one time owned a New Hampshire-based antique and like rare book or vintage book store. Let me see. It was an antiques and rare books business is what she owned. So she's very knowledgeable, and so you kind of learn interesting little details as you're reading the stories. The series is called Josie Prescott Antiques Mysteries. Like I said, this is the 11th in the series, and I just finished this one the other day. They're very good. They're fast to read. I mean, they keep your attention. Josie Prescott owns an antique business in this town, and of course she does appraisals, and so all of the stories stem out of these antiques and the mysteries involved around them. So like I said, if you enjoy shows like Antiques Roadshow, stuff like that, you'll like this series. It's good. She's one of my favorites. That's not a yarn story. So anyway, it's a good one. And the last thing I'm going to talk about would be the next upcoming podcast. I'm thinking, if I get my act together, I'm hoping to get my craft room organized, and I'm going to do a craft room tour. One of my first podcasts, I told you that my craft room is upstairs in a spare bedroom. I don't come up here all that often except to sew, because my loom and my spinning wheel are downstairs because they're just too heavy to carry up and down the stairs all the time. And if I'm knitting, I want to sit down where my husband is and where it's a little warmer. And, you know, I usually am watching YouTube videos and podcasts and things while I'm knitting. So this is basically the supply zone. The only thing I tend to do up here is knit. But since I've been doing these podcasts, I show things and then I'm really bad. I'm normally a very organized person, but I've been just tossing them onto the bed when I'm done with the podcast. So I'm not even going to show it to you. It's too embarrassing. It looks like a yarn hoarder, just like, you know, threw yarn up all over the bed. It's just a mess. I've got project bags. I've got projects. I've got boxes with fabric in it. I've got project bags that I'm in the course of finishing that are like, everything's just all over the place. So it's a little on the messy side. So I went to the dollar store yesterday. Yes, I've got more bins downstairs, but these are for the inside drawers of some of my sewing stuff because, like I said, everything's just everywhere, all over the place. So if I get my act together and get it cleaned up, because I've got a couple days before I have to go back to work, because I've been off between Christmas and New Year's, and I don't have to go back to work until Wednesday, so I have some time. Maybe, if I do, I'm going to get it done. And then I'll give you a tour. And it'll look neat for a while until I get into it, and then I trash it yet again. It's funny, like I said, I'm very organized. I'm just really bad at putting things away after I organize them. So hopefully I can make it a simpler system, and so I'll show it to you next week. As far as the giveaway winner, she did claim the prize, so that was sent out to her, and she should, if she doesn't have it by now, it should be there any time, because I sent it out Tuesday, because I knew the post offices were closed on Monday, so Tuesday it was sent out, and today is Saturday, so I have to check the tracking, but I think she's gotten it by now. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this week. And I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you have a safe and happy New Year. And I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.